All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jameela, and I am the Associate Director of International Admissions at Kent State University. And today I am going to be answering your questions about graduate applications. So there is an entire process for graduate applications, and I will go over some of the key points of how to choose a program that's right for you, what materials you should submit with your application, and then the process of what to do after you submit your application to Kent State University. And of course, if you have any questions at any point, go on ahead and drop them in the chat box, and I will do my best to respond to those. So if you are interested in a graduate program at Kent State University, my first piece of advice to you would be to review your program in the program catalog. The program catalog is a page that we have on our website that showcases all of the programs that we offer, and then, of course, has different pieces of information about admissions requirements, application deadlines, and things you need to do to prepare your application. It also has information about the curriculum, so more information about the courses you're going to be taking. It will show you a roadmap, and then it has just really important information for you as a graduate student. So using the program catalog is a huge resource that you have on your hands and the best starting point for looking into your program. The second thing I want to mention is every program at Kent State has a designated program coordinator. So this person is key to making sure that your key to making sure that you have your questions answered about your graduate program. And they are actually working in the department, so they have some of that information that sometimes the admissions office may not be able to provide to you. They have information about research opportunities, funding, all those types of questions. So always get in touch with your program coordinator. They are extremely helpful and can provide you with a lot of important information. The application process is simple but unique to each program. So Kent State has an application that is available on our website. You go online, you apply, you submit all your documents through your applicant portal. So it's very simple. You don't have to mail any documents to us. You literally can upload them to your applicant portal. And then after you upload everything, you're able to see a checklist. And this checklist will let you know if you're missing any documents. Once your application is complete, you'll see a bunch of green check marks, and you'll receive an email from us letting you know that your application is now with the International Admissions Department. Once you get confirmation it's with International Admissions, we are likely reviewing your credentials or the transcripts and degree certificates that you uploaded to your applicant portal. Now, if you are currently enrolled in your program, so you haven't graduated yet, you would just upload any official in-progress coursework that you have for your university. But if you did graduate, then you would have to supply your degree or graduation certificates. Once we have all these documents, we conduct an international credential evaluation. We do not accept any third-party evaluations, so you don't have to do a WES evaluation or an ECE evaluation. None of those third-party companies are accepted by Kent State. So we conduct the credential evaluation for your application, and then we send it to the department. You will get another email from us letting you know that it's with the department. And then this is a question that I see a lot of students asking, which is a question regarding the process of receiving a decision. So if you are waiting for a decision, my recommendation is to check with the program coordinator about when they plan to make a decision on your application. The reason for this is the timeline for a graduate application decision varies by program. So some programs may release a decision within 2 to 3 business weeks, whereas there are certain programs that may take a couple of months, or they have a very specific period for when they release decisions. I'm going to take a couple of the questions that are on the side of the chat. I have a student that's asking or mentioning that their application has been under review for over a month. So this is relevant to what I just discussed, which is your application timeline can vary by program. So it's highly recommended that you reach out to the department graduate coordinator and you let them know that you're waiting for a decision. And usually they can give you the timeline for when to expect a decision. I'm looking at some other questions. It asks, a student has asked if Kent State University gives free accommodation to international students. So we do not give free accommodation to international students. Your living expenses are listed on your I-20, and you will be required to provide proof of funding for your tuition and living expenses. We do have different living options though. So if you want to live off campus, if you're a graduate student and you meet the requirements to live off campus, you are allowed to live in an apartment complex. We have plenty of those around our campus, or around our nearby the campus, I should say. And then, of course, we have residence halls on our campus where you can also choose to stay if you want to be on campus. Graduate students are not required to live on campus, and it's very optional. So if that's not something you want to do, you're welcome to live off campus. Most graduate students choose that option. I have another question from a student asking what is the process of, or they said they're in the process of applying, but they want to know if they'll get funding as an international graduate student. So international graduate students can reach out to their academic department to see if there is funding available for the upcoming year. It varies by department. Some departments will have graduate assistantships available to you. So a graduate assistantship is your tuition gets covered, and sometimes you'll receive like a living stipend that will help cover your living expenses. And you will get those in exchange for working for 20 hours per week for the department. So graduate assistantships are competitive, and we don't have a ton of them. So of course, with that being said, we do encourage you to reach out to the department and definitely see if they're available, but just keep in mind that they are usually competitive and you are put in a pool with other students applying to those assistantships. So it's really important to make sure that you have a very strong application and application materials to be considered for a graduate assistantship. Some departments may have scholarships too. Usually those are smaller amounts that they will award to you per term. The Office of Global Education or International Admissions, we do not give any funding to graduate students. So all the funding that is potentially available to you would be strictly through your academic department. It's not something that we would have for you from our office. There is a couple of questions regarding application fee waivers. Unfortunately, we do not have a fee waiver program at Kent State. Our international application fee is $70, and then it will cover the cost of your application and the processing. I have a student asking about a GPA and eligibility for a graduate assistantship position. So like I said, graduate assistantships are competitive. So that does mean that they look at various factors in your application when considering you for an assistantship. I don't feel that I can speak on behalf of the department because the selection criteria really is up to them. So again, if you have concerns about your GPA, or if you are concerned about the strength of other elements of your application, I highly recommend reaching out to the program coordinator and asking them, what could I do to strengthen my application, or will I have an opportunity for an assistantship with my current grades or academic history? Another question about the application fee. So the application fee is $70 and you can pay by credit or debit card in the applicant portal. So you can submit the entire application, and then once you get your admissions portal, you'll be able to pay that fee as part of the process along with uploading your materials. I do see a student asking about a higher national diploma and if we accept it for graduate programs at Kent State. So we do not accept a higher national diploma at Kent State as equivalent to a bachelor's degree. We would highly recommend that, of course, you send us an email with your documents so we can just verify where your higher national diploma came from, which country, and then we can give it a better look from there. But for the most part, we do not accept those as equivalent to a bachelor's degree. So you can apply as a transfer student with a higher national diploma. Someone asked about the scholarship link that was on the screen earlier. So that scholarship link was actually for undergraduate students. I can post, though, our international student tuition link. This link that you see at the bottom of the screen will take you directly to our page that has information about the estimated expenses for Kent State. And then also it has links to the graduate assistantship page if you are interested in graduate funding. Someone is asking if we have to apply for scholarships separately from the graduate program application. So yes, generally when you apply to the university, there is a question on the application about if you're interested in a graduate assistantship, and you can tick or check mark that box. But generally, most departments do want you to complete an external application, and it might have different questions on it, but you would submit that in addition to your application. Someone is asking about guaranteed admission. So we do not guarantee admission to any student. Like I said earlier, there is a program catalog where we list out the minimum admission requirements. And in those minimum admission requirements, you can see what the department would consider for admission. However, your application is still sent to a committee, and the graduate committee will review the application and decide if you are going to be admitted to the program. Every program is different, and it may depend on how competitive the program is. So there is no guaranteed admission, but you definitely have access to see the minimum admission requirements. Someone is asking if you offer, or if we offer conditional admission for students with low GPAs. Generally, graduate programs are strict about GPA policies, but like I said, there is a minimum listed in the program catalog. And if you meet that minimum GPA, you should be able to apply to the program and be considered. However, since the decision is still up to the department or the final decision, I would recommend reaching out to them directly and asking if you are sharing your GPA and asking if there are chances for you to be admitted to the program on the basis of that GPA. Okay, so someone said that they submitted a wrong document to their applicant portal. So we understand that this happens sometimes. We definitely encourage you to be careful about which documents you're uploading to your applicant portal. But if for some reason you do have an updated document, you can re-upload a new CV, resume, goal statement, whatever it is, and then you can let us know and we will delete the previously uploaded one. I am going to leave my email in the banner section of this page if you would like to send me a message. I will just have to create that. So I'm going to change the banner and do my email address. So this is how you can reach out to me if you need to send me an email about your application or if you have questions. Okay, so the next question is, Funding for PhD applications. So I definitely would say that funding generally or typically is more available in the fall term. That's because it's a new financial year for the university. So typically in the middle of a year, which would be the spring semester or January, there may not be funding available. However, that still varies by department. So unless they explicitly tell you that there is funding only available for fall, then you can still inquire to see if there's anything available for spring. If you go to the program catalog, though, and you go to the admissions tab for your program, it will explicitly tell you if there's a funding deadline for a specific term, which generally means that that is the term that has the funding available. So I have a student asking about Ohio being affordable for international students in general and Kent State. So Kent State University is located in Ohio, but Ohio is located in the Midwest part of the United States. So of course, we pride ourselves on having great living costs. For example, the average cost of renting an apartment, for example, here in Ohio is much cheaper than a large city like New York City or, Miami, Florida. So while we do pride ourselves on that, we do still list out our estimated expenses on our website, just so you have an idea of what to expect. But Ohio definitely, again, just being in the Midwest, the location plays to our favor, and it just means there's a lot more affordable living options. I would say the cost of food and other items typically is also more affordable. Gas for your car if you're driving. So we definitely consider ourselves an affordable state. But again, the best way to also look at this is to go to our expenses page and review our living expenses estimates. So someone asked about graduate assistantships and the benefits. So, or I believe that's what they're asking. So if you receive a graduate assistantship, like I said, you're usually, you're doing 20 hours a week in exchange for your a tuition waiver. Sometimes this is a full waiver and it may include a living stipend. Sometimes it may not include a living stipend. It just really depends on the funding package that you receive. But typically, we have students receive a tuition waiver and a small living stipend. And of course, you get practical work. So the huge benefit that comes out of a graduate assistantship is the research opportunities or the teaching assistantship opportunities that you get that will be very valuable to your experience at the university and also for your future and employment. So someone is asking if they can continue their application without their final degree certificate. So this really depends on when you graduated. So if you recently graduated and you have not yet received your degree certificate or your graduation certificate, you can give us a document, like a provisional document that shows that you have completed your coursework and you will receive your degree certificate. Typically, we accept this for a couple of months after a student has graduated. But to be fair, we would still have to look at your documents to see if what you were providing is within a reasonable timeline and if it's something we would accept. Someone is asking if they can apply from undergraduate to PhD at Kent State. So I believe this question is asking if you can apply directly to a PhD program with just a bachelor's degree. And this is an option for some programs. When you're in the program catalog and you're researching your program, you can see what the minimum requirements are. If a master's degree is required for your PhD program, you will have to have the equivalency of a master's degree. However, there are a couple of programs at Kent State where you can apply with your bachelor's degree and enter the PhD program directly. Someone is asking about their application status. So for those of you who have submitted an application and you're not sure where you're at in the process, the first thing to do is check your applicant portal to make sure that International Admissions has received your application and your materials, and we take it from there. If we have sent your application to the department, at that point, we would recommend that you go directly to the department with your questions about the timeline. We have a student asking about deadlines. So graduate programs at Kent State are very flexible unless there's a hard deadline listed on the website. And what a hard deadline is indicating is that we would not review applications after that deadline. Typically, they're pretty flexible about being willing to receive a late application. Now, I do recommend that if you're applying for January intake, which is spring, that you submit your application this month because there is a long, lengthy immigration process to get your student visa that will take some additional time. So between submitting an application, our office reviewing it, and then a decision being released to you, and then all the other processes that take place after that, you definitely want to submit your application in a timely manner just to give a lot of additional time for you to complete the other processes to get to the United States. So I would recommend that if you are interested in coming for fall 2026, which is next year, that you have already started your application. It's never too late to start your application and submit it and just get an early start on the process. Some other questions about application fee waivers. So once again, we do not give application fee waivers to international students. The application fee is $70 and it can be paid by credit card or debit card in your portal. There is a question about visa success rate for international students at Kent State University. So in general, visa success rates are not necessarily relative to the university that you're selecting. It really is just an individual process that you'll have to go through. I can talk you through that process for international students. So once you're admitted to the university, you're going to be prompted to upload financial documents. These financial documents will show that you have proof of funding or available funding to pursue your studies and pay for them at Kent State University. Once we verify everything, we will issue what we call an I-20. The I-20 is the document that you will need to take with you to your student visa appointment. You'll also need that document for other processes before your actual appointment, but this is the key document that you need in order to successfully get a student visa or apply for a student visa. The actual student visa and the issuance is through the U.S. Embassy or consulate. So Kent State University does not play a role in that decision. We provide you with resources on our website that will help guide you through the process so that you are aware of what to expect when you go for your interview. But beyond that, we are not able to advise about the student visa interview process, and it really is up to each student and their own experience when they're there. So I can't really give information about a visa success rate. But if you're curious to know what international students do look like at Kent State, I can say that we have currently around almost 1,800 international students on our campus from 95 countries. So someone's asking about funding again and the department. So again, I encourage all of you to go to our program catalog. So I'm going to see if I can put a banner up for you with our program catalog. And now it's there. This is the catalog link that you need in order to search your program. And then once you're on your program page, there is an overview tab. And the overview tab, if you scroll midway, you'll see that there is a coordinator listed. So a name, email address, and a phone number. That is the person that you will communicate with regarding funding opportunities, research, or the status of your application if it's with the department specifically. Someone is asking about being on OPT, and they do not recall filing any information on status. We do not ask that question on the application. Our application process, we first look at your eligibility to the university. Once you are admitted to the university, our I-20 team will reach out to you regarding next steps. And if you are a student on OPT, at that point, you can communicate and let them know so that they can give you the procedures that you need to take in order to transfer your CVIS number to Kent State. Someone is asking about a concentration change. This really depends on the program you're applying to. So if you are interested in pursuing a different program, I do recommend that you send an email to us and let us know that you're interested in a different program concentration. And depending on how it is in our system, we will let you know if you have to reapply or if no new application is required. So I have a question about programs for students in education that prepare English teachers or interchange teachers or students in a subject that would be helpful for them. So I would recommend, if this question is regarding programs that we offer that are similar to like teaching English as a second language, we do have a great English program as well as other education programs that international students can pursue. If there is a question about exchange programs, or like an exchange program would mean sending students from a specific institution to the United States, then I would recommend contacting our partnerships team. So I can leave a response to that question after this session is over with. And I also recommend emailing me. So I'm going to put my email back on the screen, just so if I'm not completely understanding the question, you can send me an email and we can go from there. Someone is asking about the program advisor. I don't have every program advisor. We have a couple hundred of them on campus. I would recommend going to the program catalog, and the overview tab will list their name and email address. So if you're having difficulty reaching out to your department, we do recommend that you send an email to our general email, and we can see if we can put you in touch with the program coordinator. I do recommend, this is our general email address, intladm@kent.edu. We would be able to let you know or try to help assist with getting you in touch with your department. Someone was asking again about higher national diplomas. So I just want to preface it that we do not accept a higher national diploma as equivalent to a bachelor's degree for graduate studies. So if you do have a higher national diploma, you would be able to apply as a transfer student at Kent State University. With that being said, you would be able to transfer some of your coursework potentially to fulfill your degree requirements. You might be eligible for undergraduate scholarships, but you would not be eligible to apply for graduate studies. And then someone asked a question about a fee waiver week in October. There are fee waiver week promotions at Kent State University, but these are for domestic students. So these do not apply to the international students. I believe I've answered majority of the questions that you have. So I do want to thank you all for joining this live stream and for asking questions about admissions. I'm going to leave the email up on the screen. So if you have any additional questions, please contact us at intladm@kent.edu. You can also reach out directly to me. And if you have any questions about graduate studies at the application process, we're happy to clarify that information through email to you. Thank you again for joining this live stream, and we hope to receive your application to Kent State. Have a good evening or good morning to you all.